Hello and welcome back to the third video in the Build Your Brilliant Brand series. And today we're going to talk about brand sound. As we've talked about before, we're trying to make a connection with your ideal customer. So remember to have in mind your 3 brand words from the first video so that you can refer to them throughout this video. Let's get started. In our last video, we talked about the many different elements you need to consider when it comes to how your brand looks, its visual identity. Now, in this video, we're going to focus on how your brand sounds. How you sound is just as important as your visual identity, but it often gets less consideration. As we connect and engage more and more with our target customers, especially with digital and social media, it's important to think about the tone we use. Get it wrong, and you can decimate that carefully considered visual identity. So, what do you think I mean by sound? You may be thinking, oh, I don't do any advertising, so I don't need to worry about the sound. But that's not the only thing we're talking about. Your brand tone is how your customers hear you, whether out loud or in their head. It's another opportunity to set you apart and to communicate your brand personality. It will be no surprise when I say your brand tone should reflect those 3 little words from the first introductory video. Out loud, you need to consider everything from how you answer the phone, any videos you create for your website, the choice of music you use. If you're using music on videos, you also need to think about the voiceover you choose on any adverts, including radio ads. This needs to be included in any brief, otherwise you can completely change the tone of your ad. So have a think about how you want to come across to your target customer. The things you need to be considering when you set your tone are, do you need to be friendly or very formal? Are you trying to calm or reassure? Or are you trying to inspire and motivate or even stop someone doing something? Are you authoritative or talking at peer level? Do you need to sound approachable, in their shoes? Will accents have an impact? And what about humour? It may work, but don't just do it because you like witty brands. Be sure your target customer wants it too. Pause the video and think about BBC Radio and how the different channels vary according to their audience. In particular, if you think about Radio 1 and Radio 4, what do you notice about their different styles of speaking? So you'll probably have noticed that Radio 1 is very informal, it's fast and energetic, it often has more regional accents so that it comes across as more approachable. Radio 4, however, is very BBC English, it's much slower, it's more articulate, and it comes across with more authority and intelligence. And this is all done through tone. With the unspoken word, it's more about the tone you use in your writing and your choice of words and the energy that those words convey. Even punctuation is important. Exclamation marks can come across quite forcefully, which works for some brands, like Just Do It, but they can also come across as quite salesy and maybe a bit pushy. Limited stocks only! Exclamation mark. They may be appropriate for your brand, but just use with care. So let's have a look at some famous examples. Macmillan Cancer does this really well. Their tone demonstrates a really positive attitude for an otherwise very difficult subject. Innocent, very chatty and fun. When it talks about all the goodness, it also says, and it might make you better at the guitar, and it might not. It's all in an effort to use humour, to be approachable, and to come across in a way that's not very corporate, even though it does have a corporate background. Nike is all about empowerment, just get on and do it. And Fanta brings an exclamation mark to dial up the energy. So with these examples in mind, have a think about your own organisation. For example, if you run a counselling service, you would really need to dial up the care more. You need to avoid too much humour if you're speaking to people who are vulnerable and sad. So stop for a moment and think about your brand tone. How does it need to come across and what does it need to convey? So that's the end of video 3. I hope you've noted down anything you need to consider and remember when it comes to your brand tone. Maybe you've had 1 or 2 light bulb moments and realised something you hadn't thought of previously. Remember to capture it in your stop, start, do more table. And as before, if you still feel you need some extra guidance to work through this, I'd of course be more than happy to help. Please feel free to contact me for my flexible mentoring packages, whether you want to look at how to define your brand, how to check you're on track, or whether you want to receive some ongoing support while you implement your brand. You can find out more by contacting me directly, visiting my website, or by following me on social media, where you'll find plenty more branding inspiration and tips. Next up, see our step 4 video, which is all about building your brand emotion. Thank you for listening, and if you've liked what you've heard so far, please subscribe to my channel and press the thumbs up. Thank you and good luck.